Welcome to the Idaho Fishing Report. Whether you are planning just a couple of hours or a full weekend of fishing, this is your one-stop place for all the information you need to plan your trip. It's all right here, from weather forecasts and reservoir levels to the latest stocking reports and expert advice. And now, the host of Idaho Fishing Report, Jeff Cullers.
Well, hello anglers, and welcome to the Idaho Fishing Report. Kind of a bittersweet because this will be our last show of the season. Not our last podcast, but this will be our last fishing update for the season, as many people are getting ready to go hunting. The holiday season is starting to ramp up, so we're going to call it quits on this one, but we got a great show for you. Jordan Rodriguez is talking about being prepared. I've got Kyle Gellis, a professional angler from Pingree, Idaho. He'll be joining us as well. And of course, I got your reservoir level and boat ramp information for all of Southern Idaho. So sit back and relax. This is the Idaho Fishing Report. Let's kick it off in the Magic Valley like we do each and every week. Sunset will be around 7:08 p.m. An absolute gorgeous weekend. High of 80 on Friday, no chance of rain. Over the weekend, highs in the upper 70s, partly cloudy. There's a 1% chance of rain on Sunday. Calm winds. It's going to be great. Even through Monday, going to be high 70s. Now that's going to drop down into the low 70s starting on Tuesday all the way through Thursday. We're going to see the lows in that mid 40 range. Going to be a great weekend to get out and go fishing. Well, what does the reservoir and boat ramp information look like? Well, Lake Walcott sitting at 77% full. With an elevation of 4243, the boat ramp is open. Little Wood is at 18% full with an elevation of 5176. Now that 1% drop means Littlewood boat ramp is right at its limit. Still open, but right at its limit. No stocking in that area this week and no fishing tournament in that week. In fact, there's no fishing tournaments anywhere in Southern Idaho this week. And that's your report for the Magic Valley. Joining us is the owner and creator of Tightlines 208, Jordan Rodriguez, with his hot tip of the week. Jordan, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you bet. Thanks for joining us. I know it's a busy week for everybody, so why don't we get right into it? What is that Tightlines 208 hot tip of the week?
Yeah, so for this week, I'm taking it back to all the way to the Boy Scout days. Boy Scouts,
Nice,
Jeff.
nice.
I was big into the Boy Scouts. I was an Eagle Scout and all that. And of course, the motto there is be prepared, right? That is the Scout motto, is to be prepared. And so for the hot tip, we're just going to be talking about getting ready and planning and preparation for your next trip. And this is one aspect of fishing that I really enjoy. It kind of gives you something to look forward to. And that's a good opportunity to learn and to kind of dive in and maybe nerd out a little bit on trying to figure out strategies and lures and things that are going to work at a given body of water. The reason that this is on my mind right now is that I have a trip to Pyramid Lake in Nevada coming up here in a couple of weeks.
That's right.
So, and that's going to be a maiden voyage for me. First time fishing at Pyramid. And obviously they are well known for having the record size LaHontan cutthroat that regularly surpass 10 pounds and are capable of reaching even 20 or into the 25 pound range.
Wow.
So a super crazy fishery. And so my focus has been on getting some tackle lined up, talking to people, doing lots of online research, basically anything pyramid related that I can get my hands on. I've been trying to do that. So now if you compare Pyramid to, many of our lakes in Idaho, there's a couple of differences. One is the size. So it's a absolutely massive lake. And so the downside of that is like, gosh, when you get there, there's just going to be so much going on. Where do we start and all that? The upside being that there is lots of information out there. There's lots of professional guides. There's lots of people who have spent lots of time out there. There's lots of writers and bloggers like myself who have gone there and kind of chronicled their experiences. So there's a lot of information So that's the good thing. Now, when it comes to Idaho waters, with perhaps a few exceptions, places like, maybe Cascade and Door Shack and kind of our, more well-known trophy fisheries, you may not be able to find quite as much. But that's part of the challenge, right? Is what sources can you find online? There's this Tightlines 208 guy. You might want to poke around his website and see if he's ever written about, if you're going to go try a new place. And, social media sites, there's lots of information available. It may just be a little harder to find. So, I encourage it. I do it myself. And like I said, I look forward to it. Every year when I start ice fishing season, I'm like getting my gear out, checking my gear, making my plans, tying on like what's going to be my first lures and all that. And I'm very much doing the same thing with Pyramid. And I will tell you, doing that prep work ahead of time. Now, anytime you fish new water, you're not necessarily going to go and kill it on your very first trip, but you're sure giving yourself a lot better chance of having some success and and a good experience and catch some fish than if you just fly in blind.
Absolutely. And there's another part of that too, and it kind of dates back to what we talked about on the last podcast of that being prepared in regulations, understanding that do different lakes have different regulations? Do you have to get a permit from somewhere else outside of normal fishing game? And so doing that, being prepared, not only helps you catch fish better, but it also helps you to protect from doing the wrong thing or knowing where to go.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because when it comes to Pyramid, there's actually a lot of that stuff. It's on a reservation. So all the permitting is done through the tribes. It's not done through the state of Nevada. So you have to have that dialed in and know when and where and how to get those things. There's not a lot of places to stay and lodge that are actually close to the lake. Obviously, you can stay in the, Reno and the surrounding towns, but if you want to be close to the water, take some advanced planning to get, booked at one of the few places that has that. And lots of interesting regulations there as well. No bait, barbless hooks only. So we talked about that on the show last week. I've spent a lot of time pinching down barbs on my big, huge spoons and crankbaits and jigs that I'm going to be taking out there. And all of that, even no scented baits of any kind. So when you make your orders, you've got to make sure, had I not known that, I could have ordered a whole bunch of stuff and then figure out, oh, I can't actually use this down there. So very important to, stay within the rules, save yourself some money, save yourself some headaches. And like we said, man, fishing is it's always better if you come prepared. And that holds true on new and even a place that you fished, many times.
Sure.
Because you fished it many times, you should know what to do and you should be prepared. But it's always good to take those extra few minutes and be prepared. So when you hit the water, you're on it.
I like it. I mean, and that's what this show's about anyway, right? It's getting that information out there so anglers can make that best decision of where the weather's going to be good, what reservoirs are up or down. And so I think that's a great tie-in to what we even do here with the Idaho Fishing Report.
Absolutely, Jeff. Absolutely. Hey, if you're listening to the show, if you're following Jeff, if you're following any of my stuff on Tightlines 208, you're already doing it. Yep. Keep doing it, and the results will follow.
Absolutely. Well, we can't wait to see some pictures on that Instagram account. How can we find you?
Yes, it's at _lines 208 is the Instagram, and there will be I think hopefully a flood of Pyramid Lake related content here late October into early November. Fingers crossed. But I got high hopes. I think we're going to figure a few things out, and it'll be the first trip, but definitely not the last. So
cool. All right. So one more thing before I let you go, I got an email in my inbox about an upcoming class. Speaking of that Tightlines 208.
Yes, sir. We have Filet and Fry coming up on November 9th. And that is going to be held at the Jump Share Kitchen in downtown Boise at the beautiful Jump building there. Great facility. And we will be learning how to fillet and prepare and fry a fish. So there'll be demonstration, there'll be hands-on instruction where every student gets to fillet their own fish, and then we're going to cook it all up and have a delicious meal of fish and chips right there on the spot. And it's just a really fun night, really unique class, and it's always one of the more popular ones of the year. So it just opened for registrations. We're already selling, and so we if you want to take part in that class, definitely get in sooner than later. It also includes a take-home knife. So the knife you're going to use in class will be yours to keep, and you'll have a skill and a tool available to help you do those fillets and cook up some delicious meals for your family. So fillet and fry, November 9th. All the details at tightlines208.com.
All right, sounds great. And we are going to give away a ticket in that. So I recommend you getting on early onto our Gem State Fishing website, and we're going to give away a seat into that class. So make sure you get signed up for that. So there's one seat taken. You better get on that Tightlines 208 and get those tickets if you want to get in. So Jordan Rodriguez, owner and creator of Tightlines 208. Great friend of the show. Glad to have you on, sir. I hope you enjoy your night.
Likewise. Thanks, brother.
Thank you. All right. Well, big thanks to Jordan there. And exciting news we have. We have an opportunity now. If you want to help support the show, you can do that through Patreon. We have a link on our website. Just go to gemstatefishing.com, click on the Patreon site. Here's some good news, though, listeners. If you sign up to be a Patreon, there's a lot of advantages that you get. Like you will get the podcast before anybody else does. But also additionally, we're going to give you a discount to any of Jordan Rodriguez's Tightline 208 classes. Plus, we're going to give away a seat in every class that he has in the coming year, simply because you're a Patreon listener. So if you'd like to support the show, you can do it for as little as $5 a month. And you can do that to help us continue to grow, and you get some great discounts, and you also get some great advantages. So go to gemstatefishing.com, click on the Patreon page, and become an Idaho Fishing Report patron. Let's head over to the Treasure Valley. Starting over in the Mountain Home Bruno area, sunset will be around 7:13 p.m. Highs in the low 80s all the way through Monday. The highest temperature is going to be Friday at 83, 7-mile-an-hour winds. It's just going to be absolutely perfect. Temperatures are going to drop down into the mid-70s Tuesday through Thursday. Better chance of rain, but still only a 2% chance of rain. Tuesday is the 15-mile-an-hour wind, so that might be your watch day. Keep an eye on that. Of course, the weather can change out that way, so do be mindful of that. Over in Boise, the capital city, sunset around 7:15 p.m. Highs in the low 80s all the way through Monday. 1% chance of rain on Monday, but other than that, it's going to be gorgeous. 6 to 7-mile-an-hour winds. Tuesday through Thursday, mid-70s. Strong winds on Tuesday, 12-mile-an-hour. But other than that, everything is single digits. Going to be a great week for fishing. All right, what about your reservoir level and boat ramp information? There's no change over in the Boise area. Anderson Ranch is at 75% full. Elevation 4173. All ramps are still open. Arrow Rock is 18% full, with an elevation of 3110. Only the low ramp is open. Lucky Peak maintains at 17% full with an elevation of 2947. Only Turner Gulch is open. No, I'm not going to give you Lake Lowell because it's closed for fishing. You can't go anyway. All right, there's going to be some more stocking along the Boise River, but other than that, it's really not much to report, and no fishing tournaments in the area. Hey, guess what, listeners? We have a new website. That's right, it's gemstatefishing.com. Go there to check out all the links because you can get all the information we provide here. You can also contact us through the site. Well, one more trip up that double nickel this year for that fishing. We're going to head up the Cascade area, sunset around 7:13 p.m. The weekend going to be highs in the mid-70s, mostly to partly cloudy, mostly sunny. It's going to be beautiful up that way, 5-mile-an-hour winds. You're going to have a great weekend if that's where you decide to go. Getting into next week, we're going to see that 66 degrees on Tuesday. That's going to be the coldest, low of 37 that day, so be mindful of that. And then Wednesday and Thursday, back up into the low 70s. The lows up there are going to be in the upper 30s and lower 40s. All right, Cascade, 56% full with an elevation of 4816. Only Campbell Creek, Poison Creek, and Carbotton are open. Deadwood, 47% full with an elevation of 5302. The Cozy Cove boat ramp is open. Man Creek, 3% full with an elevation of 2828. South and north ramps are closed. There's no stocking in Cascade, and there's no, that's right, fishing tournaments. And that's your report for the Cascade area. All right, listeners, we have another special guest with us. So happy to have another professional angler. Kyle Gillis from Pingree, Idaho joins us. He is on the Major League Fishing Tournament. He's actually in the middle of almost at the end of that season. Kyle, thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
Doing awesome, man.
Fantastic. So now I understand you're not in Idaho right now. You're out in Kentucky.
Yeah, enjoying the fall weather here in the Kentucky hills.
So you just finishing up a tournament there. I understand you had a little bit of an issue and you had to kind of improvise, adapt, and overcome your way through that. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. I was looking forward to the end of the season. Trying to get points to, qualify for championships. That's what we fished all year for. And unfortunately, the second day of my practice at the St. Lawrence River, I kind of had a catastrophic mechanical failure, blew up my motor. But I was so dang close to making that championship. So I opted to finish the tournament out on my trolling motor just in front of the marina. Didn't know what was possible. I had a good feeling that if I could catch a limit each day, that I would probably make that championship. And, it worked out in my favor. Kind of had a middle of the pack finish, which isn't too exciting. Didn't cash a check or nothing, but ultimately got the points I needed to, move on to the championship here the first part of November.
You do what you got to do, right? I think we've all been out there, whether you're a professional angler or you're just a casual angler, we've all been out there when something doesn't go right on the boat, and you just got to figure out how to make your way through that day or through the weekend, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I want to that kind of takes me back to where I want to start with how you began with this. I read an article online about how you kind of got started. You went into a tournament, you got in with a guy on a boat. Kind of talk about that a little bit and what that first experience was for you like in that tournament.
Yeah, I always kind of joke about it. And, when they ask me how I got into tournament bass fishing, and I always just kind of say, I talked to the wrong people and got in with the wrong crowd. But because ultimately it's turned into something much greater than what I could ever imagined, But that first tournament, I don't think the individual would mind me mention his name. Butch DeForest was the first gentleman to kind of sign me up for like the Bass Nation, the TBF, kind of the grassroots and regional clubs here in Southeast Idaho. It was the Snake River Valley Bass Club, which is no longer, going at this point in time. Okay. But, he signed me up for that club and, offered to take me to one of the first opens, of the year as a co-angler. And he threw me in the Bass Cat at the time, which everyone knows are super fast. That morning blast off.
Sure.
He takes off flying down the river. My eyes are watering, snot's coming out my nose. I'm half scared to death and half, excited as I've ever been in my life. And I just knew instantly once we started fishing that, this was going to be something that I was going to continue doing for a long time.
How old were you at the time?
I want to say I was 16 or 17 years old. Okay. So I was kind of getting towards the end of high school, kind of a late bloomer into the bass fishing world, really.
Well, and so you're from Pingree, Idaho, and there's quite a bit of good bass fishing over in that area. It's an area that I've just kind of discovered in the last year. Most of my fishing has kind of been on the Snake River, but it's been CJ Strike up to Hell's Canyon, which is a great bass fishery. But there's some really great bass fishing out in the southeastern part of our state.
Yes, absolutely. We got some great smallmouth fishing.
Yes.
And a little bit of largemouth fishing, some smaller ponds, and a couple of the communities, but overall just a phenomenal smallmouth fishery in general.
So how does that translate smallmouth fishing to what you're doing now is largemouth, right? You're a lot of these lakes are southern, so you're doing a lot of largemouth bass fishing. How does that translate? Do you see much difference between smallmouth in Idaho and largemouth, other than obviously the size?
Yeah. And I guess I wouldn't say I do all largemouth fishing, when I'm on tour. Normally earlier in the year we're down south, and so typically, yes, you do run into predominantly largemouth. You might catch like a lost smallmouth in the Tennessee River or something. But as we work north throughout the season, we get to spend a lot of time, in the northern country, which they still have a lot of smallmouth up there, and that's kind of the predominant tournament species you're after, if you're trying to win and, go for points and all that type of stuff. So I do get to do, a fair amount of smallmouth fishing still. And I would say it compares to nothing like we have in Idaho. Idaho fishing, at least where I grew up there in Idaho fishing, I know there's a lot of different, areas I haven't been to, especially the northern part of the state, but, they're desert river fish. And so I was joking with a buddy here, a couple months ago about how naive I was to this fishing on the road. I thought it just looked easy, and I was telling him how, back home, I never realized a smallmouth could live past 15 or 20 feet of water, because you could catch them up shallow year round. And then I come out here out on the road, and these guys are catching them in like 60 feet of water. So it's just what I've learned is fishing is all relative to where you're at. A fish is a fish, but they will act a little bit differently, based on their forage and, wherever they're located in the country.
Yeah, well, no, that's for sure. I mean, I think even within the state of Idaho, right, you talked about kind of northern fishing and southern fishing. It definitely can be different, and it's certainly dependent on the water temperature and how everything else goes. All right, so we talked about Pingree. You were home recently. You did a tournament. You want to talk a little bit about that tournament and what you did with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So every September 11th weekend, Dry Creek Outfitters puts on this awesome event. They call it the Dry Creek Outfitters Open. And really what it is a big family gathering of our fishing community, really. He calls us all a family. And we get together the night before a tournament, have a big old dinner, big old banquet, wake up the next morning to fireworks. We go out fishing all day, and the tournament kind of has a unique format where you're not allowed to use any other baits other than what they provide you in the tournament.
Oh, okay.
And the river is broken up into sections, so you have to be in a certain section on the river at a given time, and you have a schedule you have to follow throughout the whole year. So I mean, it's just a total whirlwind chaos of boats running around at certain times, and I mean, it's just a good family fun type tournament to, I guess, end the fishing season in Southeast Idaho. Just one of those events that you don't dare miss because it's something you look forward to every year. And, fortunately, it's worked out in my schedule the past 2 years. I've been able to get home and fish it and, still continue on with the season. So, and I think it's looking like we should be able to make it home in the 2023 year too.
Outstanding. That's awesome. Yeah. And it's one I've learned about, and I definitely want to do some more research on our end, and maybe we can get those guys onto the show next year before it comes on. Well, that's really cool that you come home. I think that's important, right? That you're on the road, you travel, but it is, I'm sure, important for you and for those that are back home that supported you, help you get started, to reconnect with those friends and family to come back home.
Yes, absolutely. It's just kind of a refresh for me to, get home, see some familiar faces, laugh with people I grew up fishing with, and just, kind of take a break from being on the road all the time. So yeah, it's good for me, and I hope they like seeing me as well.
Awesome. All right, so I pulled up your stats from the page. You've got 2 career wins and 13 top 10s out of about 80 tournaments. I mean, those wins, they've got to be hard to come by. What does it take to win a tournament, Kyle, at this level?
I don't know what it takes, because they both just kind of snuck up on me, to be honest with you. When I took off 3 years ago and kind of started this venture to fishing full time, I was confident in myself that I could catch them, but I knew I had a lot of learning to do. There was going to be a steep learning curve for me, and it's, my suspicions have proven right. I've done well in some events, but definitely not as well as I'd like to, and so we're continuing continue trying to learn, more about each region, about different lakes, different patterns. I've learned a lot about just fishing in general, so to be able to sit here and tell you what it takes to win, for me at that time, it was just kind of figuring a little something out, settling down, and really just kind of came down to my time, my day to, win those events. Cause I don't feel like I ever just truly figured it out. It's just something that kind of clicked when I was on the water and it just happened for me.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to find like a mentor or someone that can kind of help you as you continue growing into this, into the Major League Fishing Tournament?
Yeah, I don't know that I necessarily have like just one mentor in general, but the more you do this, the more friends you make.
Sure.
And we all share just a general passion for fishing and competing and everything else. And when you get close to guys, it's hard not to talk about fishing and baits and everything in general. And so I just learned a lot by meeting new people, whether it's a co-angler who's fishing in the back of the boat with me in like a Toyota series or a BFL, or I've actually jumped in as a co-angler in some of those events as well, just trying to learn new bodies of water, new tactics and everything. So I think it's just been accumulation of fishing as much as I possibly can and the people I've met while doing it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we appreciate your time and thanks for coming on. We wish you all the best of the luck as you wrap up your tournament season here. We'll keep an eye on you. We'll be pulling for you. And thank you again for coming on the Idaho Fishing Report. Kyle Gillis from Pingree, Idaho joins us in the middle of the Major League Fishing Tournament. Kyle, thanks for joining us, and we'll hopefully talk to you soon. Hey, do you want to be part of the show? Email us with questions or your fishing report from your last trip. You can email us at gemstatefishing208@gmail.com. Want to send me pictures of your fish? Send it to myfish@gemstatefishing.com. And if you have questions about the show or want something answered, email us at questions@gemstatefishing.com. Okay, let's take a trip out at the Snake River Reservoir area. I have to tell you, this is one of our favorite places to go, first early in the season and then late in the season, because it stays warmer longer, so the waters stay a little bit warmer. So this is a great place to go. If you've never been out the way, go check it out. Hell's Canyon, Brownlee, Oxbow, really great reservoirs to get to this time of the year. All right, mid 80s on Friday, lower to mid 80s through Monday. It's going to be just absolutely gorgeous, 4 to 6 mile an hour winds, sunny or partly cloudy the first part of the weekend, but then it's going to be sunny. Tuesday, it's going to dip down to the mid 70s, but it's going to start to creep its way back up to the upper 80s by Thursday. Single digit chance of rain every day except for Tuesday, and there's an 18% chance of rain on Tuesday. Brownlee still sitting at 2044. All ramps are open except for spring recreation in Steck Park, and there is a health advisory still at Brownlee for the harmful algae bloom. There's no stocking or fishing to report for the Snake River Reservoir area. You can find us on Facebook groups, or you can follow us on Twitter at Idaho_report. It is time for that moon phase report. Your full moon is October the 9th. That is Sunday. Last quarter will be October the 17th. Perigee was on October the 4th. So yes, that's behind us, but like to just kind of let you know where we are in that rotation. Apogee will be on October the 17th. Just put a note in the book since we won't be here. October 17th, going to be a pretty bad day for fishing. It is the hunter's moon, or the hunter's full moon, this weekend as we get going into this last full moon of October. It's going to produce some serious quality peak times as we are near the perigee as well. Now, your best times to fish will be between 6 and 8 a.m. and then again around that same time in the p.m. Now, this is over the weekend. We'll see another strong peak. Almost in the excellent at 1 p.m. throughout the weekend. Next week, good news. Can't get out this weekend? Go fishing next week. It's going to be great all the way through Thursday. You're going to see an overnight peak at 3 a.m. Not up at 3 a.m. Go 12 hours later, 3 p.m. You'll see another strong peak. Now, there's going to be some softer peaks around 9 to 10 a.m. during the first part of next week. There's another peak at 9 p.m., so just after sunset, but it's a really soft peak, so I'm not really sure that's even worth it. And that's your moon phase report. It is time for that grade. You know, the last fishing report of the season. I am happy to report A+, A+, A+. It's going to be a great weekend and week for fishing. So if we're going to wrap it up, this is the way to wrap it up. Let's wrap it up with a strong A++. Get out there, get on the water this weekend and go fishing. I highly recommend that you do it. I know I'm going to try and get out and go Saturday morning. We got a full weekend. We got friends coming over Friday night. I've got roller derby. If you're listening to this and you like to see some badass women, roller derby over in Caldwell on Saturday night, go check it out. Yeah, I'll be there. I'm the announcer. So go check it out. That's the Beach City Bombers over in Caldwell. So go check them out. They're on Facebook and they have a website. And then Sunday, we're going downtown and going to go see Rocky Horror. So big weekend, but we are going to get out and do some fishing this weekend. So highly recommend you do it as well, too. We have come to the end of not only our show, but the end of this season. Now, I teased a little bit in the opening. This will be the last report that we're doing. I will tell you that Kyle Gellis, who joined us tonight, he and I have already talked about getting back together and doing something pretty regularly, so look for that. Jordan Rodriguez and I are going to do some stuff in the off-season, my off-season, for the podcast, and we're going to do some stuff. We're already lining up what our first one's going to be, and so there's still a lot of great things that are going to be happening. We're just not going to do the fishing report as we get into this busy holiday season. I just want to thank you. I can't believe that this is year 2. And it's coming to an end. I'm so excited about year 3. I kind of teased it a little bit. One of the shows, one of my plans this off season is we're converting part of the garage into a podcast room. This will be fully video next year. You'll get to see it as we record it. And maybe we'll have some special guests into the studio. Who knows? But super excited to add the podcast studio to our lineup next year. It's going to be a great season. We've got a lot of great things lined up. I just want to thank you for being a subscriber. If you're following us on YouTube, if you are getting our emails, and I try not to inundate you with anything. I'll leave you with one last thing. Get signed up for that filet class. We're giving away a seat to that. You don't want to miss it. It's a great class. I highly recommend that you do it, and you get to eat some fish and chips. And as Jordan said, you get a filet knife. So go get signed up for that. It's on our website. Go to the links, go to the contact page from there, and you can win a seat in Jordan's upcoming filet class. Thanks to Kyle Gellis for joining us. Thank you, listener. I hope you have a great holiday season. We have Halloween, we have Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, we have all of it coming up. So please have a great off season. I will see you sometime in early March. I'm Jeff Cullors, and I'll see you on the water. We would like to thank you for listening to the Idaho Fishing Report, and would like to remind you to visit our website, gemstatefishing.com, or you can find us on Facebook or YouTube. I'd like to thank our sponsors, our guests, and experts, as well as you, our listener, for making this show possible. This has been an Old Man Studios production. Join us next week for another episode of the Southern Idaho Fishing Report.